Good morning. My name is Dr. Romina, and today I'm with you talking about homeschooling. So let's talk about now we're back to school and the kids are at home. The new challenges start. You got a little head start, but now we have to dive into it to see what I can teach you about and what I talk to my patients about. Now, my name is Dr. Romina. I am the founder of Think Healthy, and my goal every Wednesday is to bring in information for you that are effective, that will be helping you or add a one or two items. I don't want to sound too much like a doctor. I want to be more like a coach, that's someone that talks to you about how to make things better. As a chiropractor, we educate our children, our staff, our patients, and therefore it's very important that I'll talk to you specifically about just one or two tips, and then we'll keep adding every time. Before you know it, you are all good to go. Okay. So, what are the challenges of homeschooling? All of a sudden, as a parent, you now have to wear multiple hats. You have to wear the mom hat, the wife hat, the friend hat, the teacher hat, the math teacher, the science teacher, everything all at once. It's too many hats. Now, being a woman, we are pretty capable of multitasking. It's ingrained in our genes. However, it does become overwhelming. So let's see what we can do in order to kind of calm the situation down a little bit until you really talk to like an expert in the field that you will find out, okay, what area would you need help with? So what exactly is a learning curve? A learning curve is, there's two factors to learning, time and repetition. So they believe that the efficiency in learning is by repeating it over again. However, that is done most effectively when it's done over a long period of time. So let's say you learn something new. First you analyze it, then you start learning about it, then you try to apply it, and you fail and you apply. Then as you're applying it, you kind of process it again. How am I applying this better to my life? And then it's actually a full comprehension. And the best process of synthesis is when you teach somebody else how to do it. And that's when it becomes effective. The worst thing to do in learning is to say, hey, can you do this for me? And that basically stops your brain in order for it to be done. So for those parents that like to jump in and help with their kids' homework, don't. It's not beneficial to you. It's not beneficial to them, because guess what? You're going to be dragged back into that whole state and go back to reteach the whole process. Learning. So let's talk about learning comes from our brain comprehension. So let's go ahead and divide and learn about what about the brain. Your right side controls the left side of the body, so it's more of a zigzag, and the left side controls the right side of your body. So how does that work? Your left brain controls the right side, but is also capable of analytical factors. So such as number skills. You know how some people are just really good. You're like, what's 20% of $79? And they have the number right out for you. They just are good with numbers. That's how they have more mathematical skills. They are written and writing languages are very easy for them. They speak multiple languages. And if you can incorporate a different language in whatever format possible with your children, you allow this left side of the brain to sparkle. I want you to imagine your brain cells as a high rise at night. Every time that a child learns something, a light is turned on in one of the windows. So the synapses connect and a new behavior has been acquired and registered into your brain cells. Therefore, the child is able to experience better things as they're growing. So a combination of analytical and creative mind turns these lights on faster. Before you know it, you have a beautiful high rise with all the lights on in every window. Unfortunately, Alzheimer's is when these lights start dimming down and turning off. So that's a different topic for a different webinar, but I want you to show you the analogy of the high rise with respect to your mental power. The more active, the more creative, the more interactive and constantly learning, the better you are in keeping those lights on and bright, not just on. So left side controls spoken languages, objectivity, analyzing, logic, and reasoning, which are all part of the whole learning process, right? Now, let's talk about the right side of the brain that controls the left side of the body in the motor pathways, but what does it do intellectually? It's more the creative side. It's more the artistic side. It's when you decide to wear unmatching socks, and when a child draws and paints and they're creative. And the best way to increase that is by having a daydream time. Like you set aside a time that a child daydreams of the craziest thing possible. So one of the fun things you could do is interact with them, ask them questions. So how would you do this creatively? What would you do that better? What would you do better or different? What would you color it? How would you shape it? The things that gets their creativity along with their emotions enhanced is the fact that they're actually creating something is a lot of powerful of the right brain, but it starts recruiting information from the left brain as well in order to analyze how I want to do this. So it's an interaction between the two. Then between the two creative and analytical brains, then we have something called intelligence. Intelligence is three types of intelligence. I've already written two over here because it's the most common one. But intelligence, the third one is recently, has a spotlight on it later, but I'll explain it to you. Let's start with IQ. IQ stands for intelligent coefficient, which is your intelligence. So when your IQ is mostly about academic and learning behaviors, and that is basically something that is learned and taught, and it's your IQ level. Now, what changes the bar and how you can utilize and your IQ is your EQ, which is your emotional coefficient. It's 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 a major indicator of an achievement. So let me give you an analogy. You open a recipe of an apple pie. You follow the instructions and you have an apple pie. That's your IQ. You followed the instructions, you got a result, right? Your EQ is when you add a little bit more spices. Maybe you add a little bit more cinnamon on top. You put your own flair, you put your own spices, you decorate it in a different way, you present it differently. Those are your EQ. That's your emotional coefficient. And then you talk about it. And it just allows you to be diversified, to be different. And then social coefficient is the ability to interact between your IQ, your EQ, and becomes your SQ, which is your social coefficient, which is your personality. One of the challenges that you have as a parent is social EQ and emotional intelligence are all learned behaviors as the child grows. And it is really the interaction between people. So during school time or during friends time is the time that a child or a person develops their emotional intelligence and social intelligence. So it's very important that keeping the Zoom meetings or interacting the kids during this precedented times is to keep as much social interaction as possible. And maybe have the kids talk about what they learned today and how they're going to apply it, or have them teach each other or teach their friends what I learned today. If you have them do that, their ability to interact, one, be creative, two, and then have that comprehension in learning is all done all at once by simple interaction like that. So how do you improve emotional intelligence by the 5 foundations that you need to know? So this is a study from Yale University, and there's 5 factors that they found that is most effective in children's learning ability. I know I'm not talking to you as a teacher. I want to talk to you as an educator, because the definition of a doctor is an educator. Yes, my professional training is all about biomechanics of the body, but the body has to be functioning. And I thought it would be good to share what I have learned as a physician and what I teach my patients when different topics come about. Okay, so let's talk about these 5 factors. Recognize their feelings. So if you take the first letter of each one, it spells ruler. So let's remember the 5 skills of EQ, and the acronym for it is ruler. R, recognize. Let them recognize their feelings, because emotional intelligence is emotions by the definition. And so that they need to recognize their feelings. So how they understand, so that way they understand where they came from. If they're sad, ask them, well, what made you sad? Why did it make you sad? And then you label it. By labeling it, you could attach a color or a shape to that. So let's say blue is for being sad, and red is for being angry, and green is for being happy and calm and peaceful, right? So if you attach those, they could just put a red block and say, Mommy, I'm a red block today. And then once it's recognized and identified and it's labeled, it comes out of here and it goes into the red block. So by expressing their emotions and their feelings, they know that they're not stuck with that. So they don't go long hours of being angry and yelling and stomping their feet. But if they have it, they can express that how they feel by associating it with something. So once this comes out of there and it attaches to something, then that's that, right? So that's a very good technique. If you're interested in that, I do have the references, which is all part of this PowerPoint on our website. You could definitely go pick it up, and we are here to help as well. Now, your academic intelligence, what we were taught for before is what are the non-working processes, okay? But before I do that, let me ask you a question. Look at this triangle, this cube, and not cube, I'm sorry. Look at the triangle and tell me the bottom of that. If you looked at it from the top view, what would be the choice? So looking at that, you know you got 2 green lines. So look with something with 2 green lines. That's the only one. Then the yellow and the pink matches, and that's an IQ, academic coefficient, right? So the things that we were taught in the past, or the way I was taught, which was wrong, but I made it through, right, was studying for long periods of time without stopping. It does not suit and it does not benefit the brain, because the brain gets fatigued and it becomes mundane and it becomes boring. And when you're bored, have you ever experienced reading a paragraph and 5 times and thinking, what did I just read? And then you go back again. So there was something there that you didn't understand, a word or a definition that was not comprehended. So your brain, when your brain is reading a sentence, your eyes and brain go, okay, I got it, okay, I got it, okay, I got it, okay, I got it. That is when you learn something and you move on to the next sentence. When you read a sentence and there's, let's say, 10 words in that sentence, and you go, got it, your eyes and brain match, and then your eyes sees a word, but the brain doesn't recognize it or doesn't comprehend it, your eye moves on, but your brain is still stuck there. So that problem causes a person to either read something 5 times and not remember it, or gets angry and gets up, or starts eating and distracting themselves, right? And I'm sure we've all been subject to that. That is called a misunderstood word. If you have a misunderstood word or misinterpreted, your brain does not move on. And that has been the foundation of study skills, because that one word that is not understood weakens whatever else is built upon it. That's why if your child has a problem learning math, go back to the basic and checkpoint to make sure they have already understood everything. So let me tell you the things that did not work for them. 1, studying for a long period of time, studying one subject repeatedly over and over and over and over until you become like Chinese schooling. Repetition, 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 repetition. But it's a repetition and trying to enforce learning, right? Then reviewing one topic overly and overly over again. My Mac is so sensitive, everything moves. Okay. And then reading it, rereading and rereading a text is an indicator there was a word you didn't understand. That's where that misunderstood word is coming from. Highlighting and underlining is a distraction of, it's your mind hacking your learning pathways in order to make it colorful and different in order for it to understand it. So if you understood every word, you wouldn't have to highlight or underline. But if you learned it, you would share it with somebody else. You say, oh my God, did you know? Did you know? Oh my God, look what I learned today. Did you know? How interesting. That is when you have a full comprehension. So there's no need for highlighting and underlining, because if you want to go back to it, once your brain comprehends it, your brain comprehends it. And that is the ability to be able to magnify your intelligence coefficient. And reviewing notes and reviewing notes. I'll tell you what will work, all right? Is the combination of the right and the left brain that makes it work and makes you comprehend for life, not just for the moment, all right? So what is effective techniques? Pre-test. A test is basically asking yourself questions, right? Or practicing it. Okay, so I'm gonna practice in how to set up my Zoom meetings by practicing it with a friend. Oh my God, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, until you get it. Then once you practice it, the practice of the speed, the actually physical movement of your hand and intelligence working at the same time is very effective. Another thing I will tell you, in patients with Alzheimer's, in order to minimize the damaging effect of loss of memory, is to combine academic learning with physical movement. So learning a new dance, learning a new sport, which is physical movement and analyzing and comprehending, or working with cubes, working with blocks, learning a new hand skill, has been a lot more effective in empowering and enlightening brain cells and causing neuroplasticity, which is fueling your brain cells, than just academic reading. So that combining together and paraphrasing and reflecting and teaching have been extremely effective in academic learning. And you could do the same thing with your kids. So another thing that has been very effective is having clay. So if they want to learn something, they make a clay model. So this is a building and this is the connection between, I'm calling this. So my eyeglasses holder is calling my fist, and they're talking together they're connected. So this physical is going to be very effective. Making demos of what they learned or showing it or sketching it out are very effective. And also paraphrasing and reflecting, of course, right? So simplifying it is relax the homeschooling productivity. It's not as, don't be so hard on yourself. There's easy tools, making it happy. And also don't leave a subject by trying different ways of teaching until the kid is, or until your child or you yourself feel a little bit more uplifted. When you learn something, when you have a cognition and comprehension, you feel more powerful instead of like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to do this one more time, right? So there was go back. If you say, oh my God, I can't believe this, go back 2 pages. Go back a page before. What did they miss? Where was the last time that they felt good? And what paragraph made them go down? That's another factor. Structure a work environment or a work area that's assigned to be the school. That is the area, okay, so when they go there, they're in an ambiance or in an environment that's going to be assigned to be their schooling. So moving them from a kitchen counter to the dining table to the bedroom to all that is going to be counter effective. The brain needs to feel like this is it, this is structuring it. And then if you have meltdowns, don't worry. It's part of the process. The meltdown is a sign. Just like if you had growling of your stomach, you know you need to eat and you're hungry, that's a symptom, that's an indicator. A meltdown is an indicator that there's something wrong, that they didn't learn something academically. So throwing tantrums, meltdown, uh, I want this, I want that, I'm hungry, distraction, distraction. Really go back a couple of pages and find out what was that. And then having a specific eating schedule or having a child on a schedule is a good structure as well. So, do you think you're the only one who has meltdowns? They have one too, right? Sometimes peer socialization. Remember, we went back to the wrong methods of learning, which is studying a long period of time. Adapting to this virtual instruction is a little hard because kids tend to be more touchy-feely. They need that part of them to grow. And then trying to figure things out on your own. These are all symptoms that are felt by a lot of people and experienced, so don't feel bad about it. Let's talk about nutrition. What do we do? Because your food plays a huge role in your body chemistry functioning. So avoid things that are high in sodium. So if you do purchase something, please read the label. Don't worry about the calories. Calories are spent when you're intellectually active. Sugar and salt, the sodium and the sugar are the two things that are going to be damaging and robbing you from your academic power and intelligence. So they will make the kid unfocused, easily fatigued, jittery. They might even feel sick. They have mood swings when they're on these two chemicals, and it does affect their grades. Whereas taking other fruits, vegetables, or proteins, and especially foods high in phosphor are going to be very effective in mental capability, and food that gives them more energy keeps them more focused. So let me give you a little pyramid that's going to help you effectively, all right? So how do you promote? So on a daily basis, you want to have, if you look down here, grains are simple carbohydrates. They have the ability to provide the sugar and satisfy the glycemic index and give them that capability of burning calories that they need. However, fruits and vegetables also have a sugar capability, but you want to make sure you avoid fruits after 6 p.m. because it turns into, it's just not good for them. Let me just tell you that. Avoid fruits at night. You do not want to give them sugar for dessert at night. Dessert can be after lunch, dessert could be as a reward, maybe between mid-morning or midday, but nothing in the evening. The things that you want to make sure that there are fats are essential for the brain cells and the cells to communicate together. You definitely want to have on a weekly basis proteins, eggs, fish, and sweets on weekly, but not on daily basis, and meat on monthly basis. So this is the most healthiest, easiest cheat sheet you could ever have. One of the things that makes kids have mood swings or get antsy and jittery. If your kid is jittery, they're dehydrated. So make sure that drinking enough water is very important. So how much water should they drink? You take their body weight, so let's say they're 100 pounds, or yourself, let's say 100 pounds. You divide that by 2, and you change the pound into ounces. So 100 pounds should have 50 ounces of water. Each glass of water is 8 ounces, divided 51 to 8, comes out to about 6 glasses of water. That's how many they should have. Oh, math was my favorite subject, just in case. All right. So you want to make sure that by drinking water, you avoid jitteriness and you allow the system to function, especially the kidneys. Another indicator is if their pee is too dark, that's an indicator that they're dehydrated. Sodas, sugary drinks are not considered water. Water is water. If you want to add a little bit of maybe a half a cup or a quarter of the glass, let's say cranberry juice and the rest of it water, to get them to drink that water to make it flavorful, that's your choice, go for it. Apple juice, cranberry juice. You want to put a couple of ice cubes that you've already put in, cranberry ice cubes, apple juice ice cubes in the water. Makes it fun, makes it flavorful. But you do have to have that water, okay? Now, let's talk about the physical body. The physical body, we're talking about the child's posture. One of the things you can do to prevent further damages is a test called Adam's test. If you think your child has a poor posture, you want them to bend forward with their bathing suit on, you stand behind, and you watch their back. If their posture is slouching and they bend over and their back is even, they don't have congenital scoliosis. Please note that this is congenital, not functional, which I'll tell you a little bit later. If they bend over, their posture is stooped, and you have them bend over and their back is not even, that is a congenital scoliosis. You need to make an appointment with your chiropractor, orthopedic physician immediately, or her pediatrician or his pediatrician. It's essential you get this addressed immediately because it will make a huge difference in their life. It could be a difference of changing their height by about 2 to 4 inches taller. So get that, do this test at home. You can do it. You don't need to go to the doctors. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to contact us and I'll be happy to help. All right. The other one is from the side. So if they're normal in their Adams test, but they're still slouching, let me give you some pointers. There's something called a posture plumb line. Just like a construction plumb line that checks alignment, this is posture plumb line. So look at the person in the good posture on the lower left-hand side. The good posture is when you draw a straight line, your earlobe lines up with the middle of your shoulder, middle of your hip, runs down to the side of your knee, runs down to the outer bony part of your ankle, right? Now, if the child is moving forward or backward or sways their back or their head is forward, those are the indication that they either have sway back, they have lumbar hyperlordosis, they have hyperkyphosis or slouch back, and they have forward head position. For your children who have hyperkyphosis, which is they have a rounded upper back or rounded shoulder, or they have a forward head position, I do have recommendations that you could do at home that would help you. Now, next one is going to be, how do you conquer? First of all, you want to avoid anything that's causing that. So because poor posture robs you out of your energy level. Your spine carries your central nervous system. It's the only communication superhighway that connects the brain to the rest of your body. So if the child has poor posture, obviously their health is affected, their feelings and their emotional intelligence is affected, their communication pathways are affected. And for any of you who is into chakras, who is into, knows about yoga, this is your chakra. This is your throat chakra, which talks about which ability to speak. This is your heart chakra, which is your emotional connection. When you're slouched, these two are compressed, especially in girls. It's very important we bring this back up, open the chakras, and be able to allow the body, position the body in the optimal position to gain maximum benefit and maximum results in intelligence, emotions, function, and life, and grow in that position, not grow this way, okay? So fatigue tends to be one of the biggest hurdles in learning and in productivity. So changing the posture is going to have such a huge consequences to the overall wellness. And one of the things that you want to definitely consider is ergonomics. Having a right sitting position when they're studying and taking breaks every hour for 5 minutes is essential to the body well-being, and which allows the brain to function. So the fact that they take a 5-minute break for every hour in between sessions or in between courses or classes that are done at home will allow the child to learn more, or an adult. If you want to have a higher cognitive skills, higher capability of processing things, take 5-minute breaks. Just get up and walk around. Change your visual field from just a monitor or just the book to something that's more farther out there, something different, bright, colorful. Have a color chart and just look at, like literally look at it. Don't glance at it. Look at and identify and say, okay, oh, that's the desk. Okay, that's the chair. I have a glass, coffee. Look at my coffee color. Wow. So observe the moment and the situation immediately so your eyes do not have an ability to exercise the eye muscles between back and forth. It's almost like building your bicep. That's what you do by changing your gaze and your look at different areas. Workstation or the desks and the chairs are essential, which I will show you in the next one, and proper position. So here we go. The posture is the most important, and I can't emphasize on this enough. Posture is the foundation of work for personal trainers, physical therapists, chiropractors, orthopedic doctors. 4 fields in entire medical industry focuses on posture. There is some importance to that, if I could just simplify it. It's important to wear, if you can't get a child to sit up straight, because you constantly say sit up right, sit up, and they're not, because they can't. So let us help you. Wear a posture support that not only changes your posture by pulling your back, but also brings the shoulder back, which the head has no other way to follow, right? So I recommend BAX-U posture support. And the reason I recommend that is because, one, the shoulders are adjustable. It comes in an extra small, which is a pediatric size, small, which is an adolescent, and then all the other sizes are for adults or different sizes. The sizing is based on the circumference of, sorry, this is my mask. Based on the circumference of the chest area, so measure that, and then based on that, you can find the right size. Very important that you may find other posture products in the market, but they compress the armpit, which affects and causes numbness and weakness in the fingers. So they might not be able to grab the pen properly. Now, why do I recommend BAX-U posture support? First of all, obviously you can see it doesn't compress or shave the skin. 2, it's soft, so it's like silk on the body. The Velcro adjustments are specifically to dial your shoulders back. The other China cheap products you see on Amazon are going to be, might as well take your dollar and throw it in trash. Just do that. It's much easier, because they actually compress the armpit, pull the shoulders too far back. Naturally, once you pull the shoulders too far back and too straight, the back is straight, but the head moves forward. This is a precursor for headaches. So very important that you get a posture support that does not compress the armpit, doesn't do too dramatic of a change, but actually works with the body. BAX-U posture support is backed by the University of Michigan Studies, it's covered by your FSA, HSA account. Most importantly, it was voted as #1 home healthcare product, but we did a 12-week study with corporate wellness, and it documented 90% improvement in posture. So simple posture support that corrects your posture, reduces chances of headaches, neck pain, shoulder pain, upper back pain, and even worse than that, functional scoliosis. Your day posture affects your night posture, which is, what are the correct sleep areas? Okay, if you're a side sleeper, if your child is a side sleeper, put a pillow in between their knees and make sure they're in a fetal position. If they're a stomach sleeper, put the pillow around their calves and between the knee and the ankle. Whereas if you're a side sleeper, the pillow goes between your thighs and your mid-calves. If there's anxiety, the body tends to innately goes into a ball, and the best position is to be on the back and then cover yourself a little bit warmer with a heavier blanket. So that gives a feeling of little security during an anxiety situation. If you are a back sleeper, you want to make sure you put a couple of pillows under your knees. This reduces the loading on your lower back and relaxes your lumbar spine muscles. So hopefully that was a little helpful hint for everyone out there, not just kids. Now, what kind of a pillow do you choose? Pillows, there's two types. There is subjective, which is how I feel, and those are the ones that are here. If it's feather, if it's foam, if it's hybrid, if it's down, if it's memory foam, those are the pillows that you feel, how it makes you feel good. And the ones on the right side are subjective. Subjective means that they have a functional biomechanical purpose, and their functionality is to deliver a certain result. Not how you feel, but how it's going to be benefiting you. I personally recommend pillow number 2, 3, 4, and 6. The reason I recommend these group of pillows is because all common denominator, they promote a better curve in the neck and they reduce the loading on the upper back muscles. This is what I've been recommending to my patients, and it's really dependent on their x-rays. If you want to be a general rule of thumb, 6 is the best one. It's called the Decor pillow. You can buy it on Amazon. I think it's about $30, $40, something around that range. The posture support is between $50, $60, something like that. So make sure that you get a product that's most effective for you. For those of you who are suffering by headaches, please note that I created a kit for those of you who have headaches. This is on the Think Healthy website. You can go there, you can buy the whole kit, and it will support you. First of all, it corrects your posture, massage balls to relax the muscles, the neck support in order to promote the curve in your neck, and the resistive band is to strengthen the neck muscles, and there's some exercises that go with it. It's a whole pack, easy instructions, and go for it. That would help you. It actually does work for kids as well. I hope this was effective. If you need to get in touch with me, please don't hesitate. My clinic is on Venice and Robertson. So for those of you who live in Los Angeles, for those of you who don't, you could always consult with me on telemedicine. I'm here for you. Your insurance will cover it. If I can ask any question that I could help you, I'd be happy to, or guide you towards the right direction. I believe that if I could give you something that would help you be more in control of your health and wellness, I've done my job as a physician. So I hope these have been effective. These are helping you to get more questions answered. And please, if you think this was effective, it was more of a broader conversation. But if you think this was an effective webinar for you, share it with your friends. I appreciate it. My job is as a physician, is to educate, to help, and that's my quest. Whether you come see me or see somebody else, it doesn't matter. What matters is for you to be healthier and better. We're here to help you. Any products you need, you can go to the Think Healthy website or the BAX-U website and purchase the products that you need. At the end of this webinar, we're going to send you a posture scoring survey. This will tell you where you are. So it's almost like a survey to see where you stand. My name is Dr. Ghasemi, and I hope this has been an effective and helpful webinar for you. Thank you for joining us, and send your questions to us. I'd love to answer, and look forward to seeing you next Wednesday, same time, same place.